This is crazy, bro. Like, I'm definitely a trendsetter. That's what I think of myself as. I haven't eaten yet, and it's like 4 o'clock, and my stomach is going crazy, so I have to eat something. So if you hear my stomach, my bad. But I just wanted to say this real quick. I just wanted to record this. When I was younger, and I was doing what I was doing, like I was selling weed, and it was 2015. Like, it's completely illegal. I'm living in New Jersey. It's completely illegal. But the things I do are always outside the box. You know what I mean? It's like it seems like it's in the box. Like nobody thinks of it. They're like, what, I could have sold weed as well, but who knows if it would have gone right. You could have gone to jail, so why would you have done it? So I was selling weed. I wasn't that good at it, but at the end of the day, I did something that not many people would do. And for what reason though? What was the reason? You know what I mean? Like why would you sell weed? And I didn't really have a reason. It was just impulsive. And these my impulses are typically right. This is what I'm trying to say. I think of things to do, and later on when you think about it, you're like, yo, that was a good idea. Like, I know selling weed is not a good idea, but about I don't know how many years later, about let's say 5, 6 years later, weed gets legalized. And it's like, if I didn't get sick and I was selling weed, for example, I would have, if I got caught, let's say I got caught, I would have got charged with a distribution thingamajiggy, whatever you call those, a distribution charge. Not as bad as Dan, because Dan had, May was saying Dan had like $22,000 in cash, and he had a bunch of product. He had shatter, and he had flour, and he had edibles. Like, he got hit with manufacturing. Like, he got hit with a big charge. Went to federal prison for a year. So would I have gotten that big of a penalty? Probably not, but I am a black man. I have to take that into account. Um, I was selling on school property. It was Rutgers, but Rutgers is like split. Like, there's in campus and there's off campus. Now we were off campus, but it's still considered, you call it off campus. You know what I mean? Like, it's still part of the campus. No, that doesn't make sense. A lot of the students live there. You know what I mean? That's where they go for cheaper rent, and it's cheaper to dorm. You live right next to the campus. You wake up and then you walk to class. Not even walk. Sometimes you drive. Mostly you drive. Um, but these are like kind of rundown apartments where you deal with a landlord. Like, it's a legit thing. But you go on the Rutgers website in order to, you know, try to get an apartment, and you need a school ID email address for them to consider you. You know what I mean? Like, the only reason why I got considered was because I was going to Middlesex, and my thought process was, hey, I'm gonna go to Middlesex. I was going to try my very best, but I was gonna sell weed as well. You know what I mean? Like, the selling point to me moving out was like, yo, you get to sell weed, and I was like, yo, well, I'm gonna go sell some weed. I started selling weed. Went from an ounce to a quarter pound to a pound, and like I said, I wasn't that good at it, so I didn't make a lot of money. I didn't have a lot of clients. Towards the end, I got really, really sick, and I wasn't even able to hold that job. You know what I mean? Like, I had trouble holding jobs as soon as I moved out to New Brunswick, but then, like, I didn't have a job for a very long time. So around that time, before I started selling, I started making my own clothing. And, it's just these creative ideas that I have that can propel me in the future. Because, the biggest thing that people don't have are hobbies. Like they go to school, they go to college, and then they pretend that what they went to college for was their hobby, but they don't really like what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like they're not in love with it. It's not their passion. They just do it because it pays the bills. They do it because they were smart enough to do it. I don't like to use intelligent. I'm pretty sure it means the same thing. I think they're synonyms, but I use smart and intelligent differently. When I say smart, I just mean like book smarts, and you can go to school, you can pass college, like you can do all that stuff. Um, you can afford $1 million house, but you still have a 30-year mortgage for $1 million. You went to school, I mean, you went to college, but you still have a loan. You have loans that amass up to 150,000, and you don't even know what to do with yourself. I call that smart. I call intelligent people that don't go to school and make it work for themselves without the need of school, because I think that school is definitely a big scam. I don't know how else to explain it. I need a better word. I need to look up my vocabulary. It's just not something that is real. Like it paints a facade that many people use in order to feel good about themselves. You know what I mean? Like you go to college, you're automatically better than the person that didn't go to college. Like that's not how it works. That's not how it should work. That's where capitalism comes in and all that other stuff. But I I forgot my train of thought. Sorry guys. I was making clothing, and that was like an outside the box idea. Like, okay, only a lot of people make clothing, but they go to college for clothing. You know what I mean? Like, I just started making clothing out of thin air. I was just like, you know what? Let's start doing this. But it was because of my schizophrenia. Here is the full circle. So even though I do these things and they seem like great ideas, I'm just doing them out of pure what would you call that? Pure necessity. Um I don't know why I'm doing these things, but I'm just doing them. And they eventually turn out to be something better than what I thought it was. Like smoking weed, for example, getting schizophrenia. And then while I'm 30 years old, I get disability and I don't have to work. That is probably the best situation that I could put myself in, because that gives me so much time to think and do what I want to do rather than do what I'm being told to do. So I started, making clothes, and that's something that I could fall back on. It's like, yo, I could start designing some clothes, and I have uh the card of the guy that used to make the clothes for me. I could go back to New York and I can see if he's still there, and then we can start designing some more clothes. I don't know, it's been years. It's been years. But the guy was so cool. Like I brought in a design, and my design was just a little drawing on transparent paper. And I was just like, hey, can we make this? Like, oh, what do you want to make? I'm like, I'm showing him the picture. I'm like, yo, it looks like this. And then this is the fabric that I want to use. And I want to get the collar all fluffy, but like make it look royal. That's what I went to him with. And he's like, okay, okay. And he made the clothing. And how would that help you out in the future? It was like I was always planning for the future. Like that's what schizophrenia does. I was also writing, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, when you write, you make yourself paranoid because I think that there's other people reading my stuff. Like the police is reading my stuff, the FBI is reading my stuff. That can be true. It can be true, but I know that it can be true, I should say, because they do check up on people on the phone when they're talking on the phone, and that's what artists talk about all the time. And when they bring up a RICO case, they've been tracking their phones for a very long time. Like Young Thug, you got to think about it, they've been tracking his phone. So it makes me wonder if people are tracking my phone. So I write down everything that's going on in my mind, even the scary stuff. And when I write down the scary stuff, it's kind of like being in a constant state of paranoia when I write. But what did it become? It became a book. And then I want to release it to the public. And, it's like everything that I do is set for the future. It's not set for right at that moment. Like when I started writing, I was just like, what am I writing for? Like who's going to read this stuff? When I was on note number 1, bro, you know what I mean? Like think about back in 2016 when I started writing, it was just random poems that came to my head, and I would write it in my little iPhone. And then in 2019, I started getting serious with it. You know what I mean? I was just like, bro, I want to write. In between there, I was writing a little bit, but I lost all of those writings. I don't know where they went. I'm so pissed off. But in 2019, I started writing in Google Notes, and I started to make it a daily thing. And then I started to write so much. And then I remember thinking back at that time, I was just like, you know what? This is not going to go anywhere. Like I'm going to eventually stop. What is this going to do for me? You know what I mean? And I was like, am I ever going to be able to make something out of this? Because I looked at it and I was just like, this writing is not good. And I also looked at it and I was just like, you know, if I keep doing this every day, will I be able to eventually make a book? Like, can I make something out of this? Can I do something out of this? And now we're in 2026. It's 2025 right now, but we're in 2026. And now I have in Samsung Notes, I have over 2,200 notes. In Google Notes, I don't know the number, but I have so many notes in there, and I can actually create a book. Um, and now I started making videos, and videos are eventually going to become a very big thing in the future. And going back again, back in like 2015, 2016, I had a friend, TJ, he wanted me to get into Bitcoin. And he was like, yo, you should do this, you should do that. Unfortunately, he was in a pyramid scheme. You know what I mean? Like it didn't really make sense. But all you had to do was invest into Bitcoin yourself. I don't know how much Bitcoin was worth back in 2016. I'm going to take a look. But that came to me and, served itself on a silver platter. It was just like, yo, do you want to do Bitcoin? And I was just like, yo, if I had the money, I would do it. I was completely broke. But if I had the money, I would have invested like 100, 200. The more money I had, the more I would have invested. You know what I mean? Like if I was doing good as a dealer while I was dealing pot, I would have invested money into it, bro. Um, the team that he was with, like I said, it was definitely a pyramid scheme, but they seemed pretty genuine. It was like he knew, I don't know how he knew those people, but they were like in a group chat and everything. And the guy was like, you should start buying Bitcoin, you should start buying Bitcoin. And it sounded like a scam. You know what I mean? Like in the beginnings of Bitcoin when everybody was talking about it, and they were trying to get people to buy it. Bro, if I bought $200 worth of Bitcoin at that time that it was presented to me, and like I said, ever since I got schizophrenia, it's like I've been investing into the future. And if you want to learn how to invest into the future, I feel like you have to talk to a schizophrenic because, um, you know, I think of this. I'm gonna end it pretty soon, but I think of this like, where did we get the idea of telephones from? I feel like we got it from a schizophrenic because a person that's schizophrenic is like, yo, I hear things, and everybody's saying like, no, you don't hear anything, you're just crazy, it's not really real, and it's like, no, it's very real for me, and it's like, okay, if you study a schizophrenic, okay, they hear things that's not really there, they hear voices that are not really there. What about a telephone? I don't know where I was going with that one. Hold up, sorry, that was so bad. Whatever. I'm trying to think of a new type of invention where you can hear people that are in close proximity of you. So like if I'm in my room right now and downstairs my parents are talking, like I can up the volume, I can lower the volume to hear what they're saying, to hear exactly what they're saying, or something like that. And like if somebody's walking past the house and they're talking, you can hear what they're saying. Um, that would be a cool piece of technology, but that's how a schizophrenic hears stuff. If you if you ever wonder like what do voices sound like? It sounds like very real people. Like it's it's so scary because it just sounds very real, and then your body starts to move on its own kind of thing. Not really. It just feels like you are not in 100% control of your body. Like it feels like it would get up and leap off a bridge without you even knowing. You know what I mean? It's like that's what's kind of scary about schizophrenia. Like I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, yo, what if I just end up on the Verrazano Bridge and I just jump and I'm right here, and then next thing I know I'm falling. You know what I mean? It's very hard to explain, but that's typically how schizophrenia has impacted me, and that's where the paranoia comes from and all that. But I don't know where I was going with this. I really bounced ideas so badly. But what I was saying was that I am like a trendsetter. I feel like a trendsetter because the things that I do are revolutionary. Like talking to people online, that's crazy. Why would you do that? And it's like, why would you not do that? Why wouldn't you figure out how to talk to people? Like, and then I thought of famous people and what they do. Like, they immediately get famous for having a talent or something like that. Well, what's the difference between a schizophrenic that thinks that they're famous and a famous person that is famous? It's like, bro, what's the difference? And it's like, yo, oh, the schizophrenic, oh, he talks to everybody. He literally talks to everybody. If you send him a message, he'll talk to you. Like it's like he's an AI robot, but he's a real person. Like he's not AI. Like when you text somebody and you're messaging somebody and they're like, I want you to buy this, he's not gonna sell you anything. He's just gonna talk to you like a regular person. Like if I were to try to get a hold of the weekend on his profile page, they'll be like, you know, he doesn't even run that page. It's not even him. Somebody else runs it for him. So you won't be talking to him, you'll be talking to whoever that person is, and you're probably not going to get an answer. You're not going to get an answer. unless you're unless you're Bella Hadid. You know what I mean? And even if it was Bella, she knows how to get in contact with him. You know, it's like he doesn't even run his own cell phones type of thing. So what's the difference between his type of fame and another person's type of fame? His is very genuine and down to earth. Like it's organic. It's not all fluff. Like yes, The Weeknd has a great voice. He he thinks of amazing songs, but when you try to talk to him, it's just like you're talking to a PR person. Like I was watching Drake's music video Iceman, and the way that he was greeting people on the street, you know, it just seemed it just seemed kind of fake. You know what I mean? It's like he's talking to them, but he's not really talking to them. You know what I mean? He's literally driving past on a truck, and they're coming to the truck and they're like, "Yo, I ran all the way over here for you." And he's like, "Thanks, thanks. I appreciate it. One love, one love. Yeah, love, love, love." And it's like he's not talking to that person that just ran all the way up to his truck. Like in his mind, he's thinking like, "Yo, where's my security at? She better not get close to me." And then for a schizophrenic, it's like, "No, I want to get close to this person. I want to see what type of person they are. I want to talk to them. Let's have a conversation. It's just you and me, one on one. Let's just have a conversation." And it's not like, you know, it's not like Drake where he's just saying hi to a crowd and he sings a little bit and then he's on his way. He doesn't say a word to anybody. He doesn't know anybody personally because he's probably like, "Oh, if I talk to those people, they seem very fake." You know what I mean? It's like they just want to praise me or they want to say crazy things. They're not really genuine. And it's like because you're not genuine with us. Like you say the craziest things in your songs, bro. You know what I mean? You say the craziest things in your songs and we're just like, "Yo, that's crazy. What is he thinking about?" And we have absolutely no idea what he's thinking. We have no idea who he's talking about. He's just making music and he doesn't answer anything in what's it called in interviews, and you're just wondering to yourself, you're like, is this a real person? And it's like, no, I'm just playing a character. Like that's the one thing that got me a little bit sad about the weekend when Abel was like, "I'm playing a character in my music." I was like, "Yo, bro, I thought that was your real life." I was like, "Oh my gosh, bro." Like I literally thought that that was your real life. Like I connected with you on that thought process because he doesn't really do interviews and stuff like that. He doesn't really do those stuff, especially back in the day. Or he did it and it wasn't widely available. Like I'm sure that Complex interviewed him. You know what I mean? But that's what I thought. But he's like, "I'm just playing a character." And you're wondering what's the difference between him and me. I'm not playing a character. This is me. This is genuinely me. Like when I say I'm paranoid, it's like I'm not talking about a character that's paranoid. I'm talking about me that's paranoid. But I can like the way I talk about it in my writing, it seems like it's a different person that's paranoid and I'm just perfectly fine because that's how it kind of feels like to have schizophrenia. It's like, yo, I'm not crazy, but I know that I'm crazy. But the fact that you guys tell me that I'm crazy and you treat me like I'm crazy, it's very hard to be a person. You know what I mean? You make it very hard to do that. But whatever, bro. This was a confusing little podcast or recording. I should just say recording. I'm not going to say podcast, bro. Forget it, bro. It's just a recording. Like, bro, it's a recording, bro. It's raw, beautiful. You can listen to it and you'll be like, yo, he's really just talking off his dome. Like, it's going to be confusing. Sorry about the confusion. I just have ideas in my head and I'm just like, I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it. And I like free forming because it's more real. It's more realistic. Yeah, bro. But yeah. I'm gonna send this message to Mike, and that's what I was saying. Like Drake, when he talks about people in his music, he doesn't tell you who he's talking about, but I'm sure that his inner circle knows, but his inner circle doesn't talk about it. So he just seems like a very fake person. It's like it's not. He doesn't seem real, and for me, I'm proving to myself every day that I'm real. It's like, yo, I'm a very real person. It's like, how are you a real person? I don't get it. Like, just imagine my mind and my body is separate, and my mind is constantly asking my body. It's like, what? I don't feel real. Why aren't you rich yet? Why aren't you famous? Like, I think that we're famous because what happened back there was absolutely crazy. But people are telling me that I'm crazy. So, am I not supposed to believe in it? And then my body is like, no, no, believe in it. You know, you are very real and don't ever not believe in what you believe in. Like, just dream, do what you do best. You dream, you have fun, you think outside the box. Keep doing that while I do the legwork, the showing up to different places and stuff like that. Like, sitting in my room watching TV, going out to eat, doing all that with my family, talking with my family. I'll do all that stuff while you dream and think of crazy things to do and then we'll act on them. But yeah, like I said, like when people are like you're crazy, it's really hard, especially like on TikTok and stuff like that when they're like a schizophrenic thinks that they have superpowers, but they don't have superpowers. It's not true. You know, you know how that affects us? It's like, bro, why don't you believe in what I'm telling you? And it's like, oh, we believe you, but it's a delusion, which means it's not real. So don't, yeah, we believe that you think that. That's good for you, but it's not real. There's no superpowers. Nobody has superpowers. And it's like you're looking around and you're like, so why is that guy super rich and I'm super poor? You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't really make sense. Why is he super rich and I'm super poor? You're telling me he doesn't have powers? No, no, that's a delusion, sir. It's like, okay, I'm delusional. I'm thinking wrong. I'm just because I'm thinking outside the box, I'm wrong. That's how I feel. But all right, guys, I'm gonna go eat something. I'm gonna try to upload these as quick as possible, bro. I'm gonna upload this one as soon as possible. But peace out, guys. That was a 28-minute rant. I don't know where I get the energy or the ideas from, but they just keep flowing. And I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep creating. I'm working on apps right now. Whew, it's a long day, bro.